Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your Browns versus Jacksonville Jaguars pregame show. I am Tyler Johnson, joined by Mr. Nick Carnes, Casey Kinnaman, Jacob Roach. Gentlemen, happy Sunday morning. How are you guys doing this morning?
I got the Angry Runs David Njoku shirt on, so I'm feeling pretty good about some touchdowns today. I don't know, man. Like I woke up like 30 minutes ago, so pretty about as good as you can be. That sort of thing. But the Grant Delpit news comes out. The Trevor Lawrence is, as we speak, out there testing his ankle. He came out running full speed, so he looks good to go. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, I'm pretty good, man.
You know what? I've been riding high since Thursday when Pittsburgh lost to New England because, hey, you know what? Leading up to that. There was a lot of discussion about like three-way tiebreakers and what happens in this event. And I feel like that loss Pittsburgh had opened the door for the Browns to leapfrog and really take hold of one of those playoff spots, just bar none, no ties, no anything. They can be there and have the top wild card seed. Obviously, they need some things to go their way as well. But the door opened for that possibility. So I've been riding high since then, man. You're back home. You're 5-1 there. I'm feeling good.
I'm with Nick. That raised my spirits, man. That loss on Thursday night to the Patriots, that put a little pep in my step. Feels good, man. You know, the Browns are back at home where they've been dominant, especially on defense. Got up, checked the weather in Cleveland. It's no rain. It's going to be windy, though. I expect Joe to get the nod, and Joe can drive it in the wind. So I feel good about what's going to happen today, man.
Yeah, I do too. I feel good about it. A little surprised that Lawrence is playing, but that dude's is just one of the toughest players there is in the NFL, obviously.
Where's the drama queen?
Huh?
Where's the drama queen? And it really wasn't that bad from Jump Street.
Hey, it could be. I have no way of knowing for sure. But, of course, before we get down to any of that, there's a lot to talk about. But before we do, as a reminder, everyone, if you are joining us on YouTube, just take a second and drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you are brand new to Network 216 as we're trying to reach 3,000 subscribers, and we can't get there without your help. Again, it's completely free to subscribe to the channel. Also, dropping a like on the video really helps grow the YouTube algorithm. We also are live on the Lockreverse app in the Dog Pound Lounge. So if you have any questions, comments in there, feel free to share those. Anyone who's joining us in the chat, drop any questions, comments you guys have. If you're joining us on Twitter or Facebook, come join us on YouTube as well. We really would appreciate that. So, guys, the big news, I would say, really doesn't even have to do with the Browns and the Jaguars, but it does have to do with the Browns in general. The Browns did, kind of like you said before the show, Jacob, they extended safety Grant Delpit. They gave him a 3-year contract, 3 years, $36 million. He was going to be a free agent this upcoming year. Overall, he's had a better season. It's been his best season so far, I would say. He started off really hot, kind of cooled down a little bit. Performances have been a little hit or miss the last couple weeks, but that's really been the defense in general the last few weeks. But anyways, what are your guys, before we get into the game, what are your initial thoughts just upon hearing this news?
I would say too about him struggling the last couple of weeks. I think it plays into the issues that have plagued the Browns defense, where I think a lot of teams are taking advantage of their aggressiveness and over aggressiveness with misdirection and jet sweeps and play action and things like that. And so I think Delpit plays an incredibly aggressive style of football. And when it's against a team that isn't able to scheme for that, he's dominant. He can be downright dominant. And for once, we have somebody that can cover tight ends. And it's not just Grant Delpit. JOK has done some really nice things, and Taki's had a few good games here and there and that sort of thing. But you finally have a Swiss Army knife, though I don't think he's as good as like peak Minka Fitzpatrick was when he signed his big deal or anything like that. I think he can be, but I don't think he has shown that. I think he has the ability to be at that elite level. He's 13th So this contract will put him in 13th in terms of safety money. So and that's before free agency and trades and everything that happens this offseason. So by the time he plays next year on his contract extension, I think you're looking at a guy that's probably like going to be 15th or 16th in safety money. And are you thinking he's middle of the pack at least? Yeah, I think he is at least middle of the pack in safeties. And I guess I'm just happy he's going to stay in Cleveland. I'm not going to overanalyze the contract because apparently if you do that, people get very angry on social media this morning from what I have seen. So I'm not going to say dick about that aspect of it. I'm just going to point out that it's 13th in safety money. That's all I'm going to say. Move on. You would have had to use a high asset to replace him, a high draft pick or a high free agent. And that to me is reason enough to extend him because he does have a significant role, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
I'm really starting to enjoy the trend of Andrew Berry draft picks getting extended. And I think this is the start of that class. And I'm hoping we're going to see more extensions, JOK beyond it. But I think, when Grant tears his Achilles his rookie year, that like everybody was excited at saying we've got the safety that a lot of people thought could be a first round pick, and there's a ton of potential there. Yeah. And the road to come back from that before you've even taken an NFL snap is such a long one. And so I just think it's a testament to Grant that he worked back from that Achilles injury. We know how long it takes to get back to form. And so for him to get this extension and to be part of one of the best, the Browns have been in the top of pass yards allowed and in the top of a ton of defensive metrics, especially in the secondary all year long. Grant's a big part of that success. And I think keeping him here and having, because now you've got Juan Thornhill and Grant as your long-term safety options for at least 2 more years, right? Because Juan's under contract for 2 more beyond this one. So I think having that longevity there really sets the Browns up to build off of what they've really turned the corner on defense this year. So you're allowing yourself, because you're looking at it and you're like, Denzel Ward's still extended. Greg Newsome, we'll see where that goes. But Martin Emerson, well, okay. Martin Emerson's there too. So at worst, you've got 4 of your guys in your secondary there. That feels like a good thing to me. I'm happy for Grant, happy for the Browns.
You thought I was going to let that go without saying anything?
I wasn't sure.
When I look at the move, like we talked about it, he started off really hot. But when that happened, he was actually the move piece because Rodney McLeod was still playing, and you've seen his role change in the last 2 weeks. But I think they know how valuable he can be when he can be that X factor, when he can be that move piece that you can kind of be like a chess piece to move all over the board, whether that's an overhang linebacker or down in the nickel. He just gives you a lot more versatility, and he gives you just another player that offenses have to recognize. You got to find out where 22's at, because he can hurt you in a bunch of different ways. I was hoping to see more blitz package for him this year. Yeah. That really hasn't materialized as much. But, when you're talking about a safety that can come down and just get stops at the line of scrimmage, like he's near the top of the list in the entire league just because of his physicality. So I'm with Jacob. I'm just happy that he's here. Like I can't get into the nuances of the contract. We'll see how that stacks out because there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. And I honestly assumed this was going to happen during the bye week. I think if they'd have done it during the bye week, he'd have been more expensive because of how he was playing. I think that this coming after a couple of down games isn't a coincidence, and kind of get in where you fit in. And they have another piece for Jim Schwartz to use over the next few seasons, and I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, it definitely was like, oh, now's the time. Let's do it. What do you think, Tyler? You surely don't have a controversial take on this.
Oh, you know what? I put that on Twitter. I'm just gonna keep it this way. Okay. It's a great story. Grant Delpit's been through a lot since he's been here, and the fact that he has earned a second contract is remarkable for everything he's dealt with. I have no doubt that he brings energy to this team. He's one of those guys that I feel like outside of Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, he makes more plays than anybody. JOK's up there. But anyway, Grant Delpit is up there in the amount of plays that he makes. I would like to see him get more interceptions. That was something he did really well last year. I'd like to see him do that a little bit more as we close out the year. At the end of the day, Andrew Berry is extending draft picks. And like Nick said, for so many years, we've never been able to do that because the talent that we've drafted has not been good enough. And it proves that the talent is good enough that we have here. Again, if anyone wants to read my take, and go. My Twitter handle's next to my name. Go read it. I've muted the comments. I've dealt with a lot this morning regarding that, but good for Grant Delpit. That's seriously good for Grant Delpit. And, at some point, I'm sure we'll even analyze it more when we get to the offseason as far as what the numbers look like, just because we already know some tough decisions are going to have to be made with this roster. It's just the way the NFL works. The salary cap going up is in their favor, of course. But now the next guy on the list, what happens with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah? That's the big question, because I always thought, let's actually talk about this briefly.
Yeah.
I always thought it was one or the other, truly, because either one you were going to pay over $10 million, okay? And I think now the way JOK is playing, who's had a better year than Grant Delpit, in my opinion, I know they play different positions, but I think JOK's had an even better year than Grant Delpit. Now you run into that conversation. What do you do with JOK? Because this is a guy that his value now, he is going to get paid, and he's going to get paid significant money. I don't know. I'm not saying they can't sign him now, but then the question is, you're paying so many guys over $10 million, so who's the odd man out? Because eventually the rubber is going to meet the road here. And that's the only concern I have, because I feel like they might have had to make a choice here. And I personally rather keep JOK than Grant Delpit if it indeed comes down to that. But we'll see.
Well, there's several times that this has came down and we've seen them allocate money to a certain player, and we think, that's going to mean the end of, say Jack Conklin. Like every time I think that, man, AB pulls a rabbit out the hat. So
Yeah.
I can't. I've been there several times. We're like, there's no way they can extend him. And it may have been a situation where they looked at it differently, as it was going to be either DPJ or Grant Delpit getting the contract on this extension, and they eliminated one of those. And, so I don't know.
Isn't that what we thought? 10 million for him, right? That's what we thought.
Yeah, 10, 11 million, I think.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and technically they got rid of him, and which fans still aren't happy about, but that's
we could have used him there for a second, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just done doubting AB. Like every time I think I have him pegged of what's something they have to do now or something they can't get out of, and he manages to figure it out. So until he doesn't, I'm just going to have to let that ride.
Yeah, we spent so long not having guys to give the money to. I'm glad that they're keeping the core together. The defense finally is. I understand they've had their recent struggles. I get that, but overall, as a unit, I'd say they've turned a corner this year. So I'm all for continuing that longevity. We'll see what happens with JOK, because I mean, aside from his potential contract, they're really just handing out. Anthony Walker's getting 1-year deals. Like I don't think they have a ton of money committed to the position as a whole. So I think they could afford to pay one linebacker, probably not any beyond that. So maybe the Browns go draft in the linebacker and they pay JOK, and that's like how they align that position. I'm not really sure.
I did have a comment for everybody out there that cares, and that is, suck it, Navy, go Army.
Okay.
Fair.
There it is.
Suck it. Everybody in my mentions yesterday, go Navy. Kiss my ass.
Did Army win?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, there you go.
I'll tell you what, watching that brand of football, that can take some years off of you. But I'll tell you, I watch it every year.
It's the most. Somebody tweeted yesterday. I think it was our friend Drew Garrison, who covers the Bengals. I think it was him that said it. He was like, "This is the most entertaining, unentertaining style of game that you can watch all year. Yet we all watch it because we do."
Man, is that true? Is that true though? Oh my gosh!
It's like, oh, this sucks, but you don't walk away from it, do you? You just turn it on, you wait till the fourth quarter, and you move on with your life.
And it also has to do with the fact that that's basically the last regular season college football game we get. And it's the only one on, so everyone's like, man, gotta watch this as much. Dude, I saw so many people that were so pissed because they had the under in that game.
Yeah, and it hit. Right at the end, the over hit right at the end, and I was just
Yep.
like, ooh. And the funny part is the over hit in that game, and they scored 28 points. If that tells you, there was 28 points total scored in that game, and that was the over for anybody that was curious.
Really?
Yeah, it was 17-11.
Oh man.
Yes, like 17-11.
See,
And
I
that
was
game
out.
started 17-3, I believe it was. I think it was 17-3, and then they got the touchdown 3-point conversion and the over hit. They're at the end for Navy, but
Wow.
I don't know that we have to. We should probably talk about the Reds.
Well,
No,
I have just a little bit of a tangent, right? Because I missed the Army Navy game because I was out shopping, but I did come back home in time to see the Columbus Crew win their third MLS Cup. Jimmy Haslam getting a ring. How are we feeling about that?
Jimmy Haslam's got 2, baby.
He's got
Two
2
rings.
Dude, he's taken over. He took over the Crew 4 years ago, and he's won 2 championships.
Wow.
Just saying. Like, he wins one in dude.
Did he
He's the greatest
forget
owner
what
of all time if he wins one with the Browns.
Can
Telling
you
you.
imagine?
when he bought
He
the
saved
Browns?
the Crew. He actually saved the Columbus
Yeah.
Crew from going to Austin. I mean,
Yeah, they were
people
gone.
want to talk about Jimmy all the time with the Browns, and it's fair. This man seriously saved the first MLS franchise and kept them in Columbus and built them a new stadium.
That's awesome.
Truly
It's a
remarkable.
beautiful stadium too. If you've never been to it, beautiful stadium. But I think when he bought the Browns, he got confused on what football he knew how to manage. I think. And then oh shit, it's soccer that I actually understand.
Hey, Dee Haslam was
Dude, you're
standing
killing
up
me,
on the
man.
stage for the trophy presentation. She was looking happy. I think they could get used to that feeling. So we just got to bring that a little bit northward, right?
Oh
And,
my
and
God.
get the Browns having some of that momentum. It was cool to see.
I just realized that we do our show on Tuesdays, and Tuesday is when I'm doing the ugly Christmas sweater competition at work, and we're making it by hand, and I'm going to shave all of my facial hair except for a porn stash.
Okay.
Oh,
That's lovely.
So I think I'll rock that for Barking Browns on Tuesday.
Okay,
nice.
that's what you get.
Okay. Hey, man. Love it. Love it. All right. Now we should probably actually get into the game.
Yeah, probably.
But it's all right. Sometimes, sometimes we struggle with finding enough things to talk about in an hour, so that won't be it. So the big news is all week there were a lot of people. Like, it didn't bother me, but there were a good portion of the fan base that was wondering what Kevin Stefanski was doing. He refused to name a starter this entire week. Just said,
Yeah,
"No,
it was so funny.
I'm not required to."
Yeah.
And Joe Flacco got the reps. I mean, I know DTR is coming out concussion protocol, but DTR was practicing this week. I want to ask you guys, how do you feel about the way Kevin Stefanski has handled the quarterback situation? Because I'm not kidding. The timeline was like, well, why is he doing this? Or there's no way he's going back to DTR. Like, how did you guys feel about how Kevin Stefanski managed that situation this week?
I
Because that
learned
was a
this.
huge topic of conversation.
Yeah, I learned this week that even less people than I thought understood how practice squad elevations and roster makeup work, because Flacco reverts back to the practice squad on Monday. Was it Monday or Tuesday? Whatever day transactions complete for the last week, which is probably Tuesday. So he was reverting back to it, and everybody was like, "How can you do this?" And it's like, no, that's how that works. Like, that's just how that works. They did
Jacob, real quick. Sorry. Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville confirms Trevor Lawrence will start
There we go.
against the Browns today.
Okay.
I just wanted to read
I
that.
like it.
Anyway, continue.
Potentially Blake Hance at left tackle. So let's party. Anyway, yeah, man, like people didn't understand how it works. They're like, oh, I reverted back to the practice squad. Why the hell would they do that? And it's like, no, that's just how it works. It's also what they did with PJ Walker for 3 weeks this year. And nobody seemed to want to acknowledge that when this happened. They were like, what are we doing? Putting him back in the practice. It's like, oh my God, calm down. Like, that's literally all they're doing is a roster move to make things work better. It's what they did with PJ Walker when they had the uncertainty of Watson in DTR after DTR's bad start. Like, you can elevate him 3 times, like, or maybe it's 4 before he can't be elevated again. And the roster makeup, by doing it in the way they were doing it, they were able to keep more people on the roster. They were able to keep PJ Walker around just in case they needed him, and all of these things. And then they get set up to where they bring up Cam Mitchell and waive PJ Walker. And then inevitably, I think Joe Flacco will go to the starting roster for the rest of the year. Because even if he's not the starting quarterback the rest of the year, he's going to be able the active roster the rest of the year unless he gets hurt. He's not going to be on the practice squad for a ton more. This was my favorite Kevin Stefanski quote of all time when he said he didn't have to do it. He's so sick of the stupid nonsense and bullshit that goes on in media. And it's not just Cleveland. It goes on everywhere. I've seen it everywhere. So it goes on everywhere. But he's just like, we're going to do what we're going to do. We don't have to tell you what we're going to do. But I do not in any way, shape, or form think Kevin Stefanski will do anything but what he thinks gives the Browns the best chance to win.
Yeah.
And
he's not
going to
Yeah.
Sorry. What I wanted to add is people need to understand, too, about the practice squad. There is no protections anymore,
Right.
but the player has to agree to go. And Joe Flacco is not going. So let's just get that out there first, that everyone freaking out that he's going back to the practice squad. He's not leaving, okay? It's not happening. Anyway.
He's been promised
people don't
something.
understand that part.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting. Yeah, that was my frustration too. He knows he's the start. Like, he knows this stuff. Just like PJ Walker knew this stuff. He's going to get elevated. He's going to get paid active, because people are going to be like, why would you decline an active roster spot to be on a practice squad because you're going to make more money? Well, because he knows come game day, he's going to be elevated and make that active roster money. And it's why Flacco came to town and went home and then signed with the team. They knew, like, hey, we want you here. We want you to be the guy. I think people have just got to take some deep breaths, because we're not used to being in the driver's seat of the playoffs. And I honestly think that's what's going on, because they're like, oh, you're going to screw up the playoffs, you stupid morons. And it's like, take a deep breath, step back. Flacco is going to be your starting quarterback until he gives you a reason not to be.
I don't know. There's just a massive portion of this fan base, and probably many other fan bases that I don't check in on, that have been watching football their whole ass life and have no idea how shit works. Just none. So anytime something happens, it's just overreaction one way or the other. And there's at this point, man, ignorance is a choice when it comes to this, because all these resources are there for you. You can find out all these things. So people freaking out about how the practice squad was handled, like you said, they did this to PJ when he was starting games. He would jump off there and go right back to the practice squad and back and forth. And this is all about roster manipulation. They wanted to keep as many players as they could. They had a grand scheme in mind. They were able to elevate Cam, then drop PJ, bring him up this week, and then after they use his 3 times up, they'll actually put him on, and then they'll have to make a decision of losing Mahmoud Diabate or someone like that. But you got to do this, man. This is how the league works, and this is how the sharpest front offices operate. So, and I think it's funny that Stefanski's taking a heel turn.
I do.
Just lean into it, man.
Yeah.
Lean into it. Treat him like mushrooms. Feed him shit and keep him in the dark. I'm all for it, man.
You know what? I just look at it from a prep standpoint. Like, Jacksonville played Monday night, right? So they're already on a day shorter of a week. They've got their own quarterback issues. I want to give them as much to think about as I can. So good on Stefanski, because it's not like you're saying, we have Deshaun Watson who plays the same style, and between him and DTR, there's not going to be much. There's a huge difference between the offense the Browns are going to run with Joe Flacco and the offense the Browns are going to run with DTR. So I am all for giving them as much to think about as they can, as much to prep for as they can. Every little edge at this stage of the season counts, because nobody's healthy. We just saw Jacksonville lose Christian Kirk for what looks like the rest of the year. And obviously we've been talking about Trevor Lawrence all week. So every little edge, every little bit counts for something. So I'm good with it. I love the gamesmanship from Stefanski, and I love the way he's kind of just taking it, because I do think Kevin's going to eventually get a contract extension here. And I think he's just, little by little as a head coach, he's learning some of this stuff where he's just like, what? I'm glad to see him not care. I like what you said, Casey. What was that? Feed him shit and keep him in the dark.
Yeah, let's do it.
Dude, it's just hilarious to me, because what they're doing, make Jacksonville prepare for 2 guys. That's smart. Jacksonville did it all week. They might not have known about Trevor Lawrence, but they made the Browns technically prepare for 3 guys: Nathan Rourke, CJ Beathard, and Trevor Lawrence. Kevin Stefanski made him prepare for Joe Flacco and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, okay? It's gamesmanship, and it makes sense. You try whatever you can to get an advantage, and Joe Flacco, unless something happened, he will be the guy. There's no reason why. He proved against the Rams. This guy came off his couch and nearly led you to a win on the road. okay, he's the Browns' best option at quarterback. And if I do, like, he made, okay, of course, some questionable throws, but also this dude's still got a cannon at 38 years old. I mean, geez, I was never this athletic in general, and this guy's 38 years old, and he's just not skipping a beat. So
did you Tyler? I asked Casey this earlier this week, but did you see the comments from Elijah Moore when he was talking to Joe Flacco this week during his press conference?
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Are we going to see any more of that athleticism, that legendary athleticism, as you roll out of the pocket?" And hit
Wait,
people
time out. Hey, we got inactives. Denzel Ward is out. DeJuan Jones is out.
Oh, he's
and
out.
Then the rest are your typical inactives. Well, Mahmoud Diabate, Luke Whippler, Isaiah McGuire, Siaki Ika. So Denzel Ward is out. That was kind of a surprise.
Tough news, man.
It is.
Assuming
he practiced this entire week. That one's really surprising, actually. He practiced this entire week.
Media too.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just precautionary or what. Like that one. Okay. I was gonna say what inactive surprises you, but I think there you go.
Yeah, because
I'm a little. What's the word? Disoriented by that. I didn't really expect that.
I'm nervous.
I didn't either, dude. It doesn't make any sense to me because the guy practiced all week. He talked to the media, which that doesn't always mean you're going to play, but the chances are you're going to end up playing. And now he's not on the field. That is really strange to me. That is really strange.
I'm nervous about that, man, because like even without Kirk, the Jaguars are still going to hit you with Ridley and with Zay Jones. And I mean, even Parker Washington looked
Evan
good
Ingram leads them in receptions too.
That's
and let's not forget Trevor Lawrence playing injured apparently just turns into Superman.
And does that play a part in it? No Christian Kirk, a banged up Trevor Lawrence, a really banged up offensive line that has just not been good. I mean, do the Browns go out there, look at that during warmups, talk to Denzel? Denzel says, I'm about 85, 90%. And they said, well, based on what's going on here, let's just sit you. Is that, could that be the reason where they're just like, I think we have enough? Because, you're either starting a left guard at left tackle or you're starting Blake Hance against Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith and all those. And you feel like, hey, yeah, Denzel Ward's amazing, but we really need him the final month of the season. And we think we can. That's just my guess.
Maybe if Myles Garrett was playing like Myles Garrett up until he injured his shoulder in Denver. But I think this is as it stands right now. I think this is the most pivotal game of the season. You've lost 2 in a row. You need to stop the bleeding. The Pittsburgh just lost. You've got everybody was 7-5 in the wild card standings. The 3 wild cards are 7-5. I think this is a true turning point for the Browns right now. And if Denzel Ward could be out there, I wish he was, man. This is it makes me nervous.
See, here's the thing that I get what you're saying, Jacob. The thing I look at though is this game to me, you have to win this game. Like okay, the season's not. Let me make sure I word this correctly. The season's not over if you lose this game, okay? But then you pretty much have no margin for error among the AFC, okay? Because you go to Houston, you still have to go to Cincinnati, and let's say this right now, I don't think Cincinnati's going to be the pushover that we were thinking when Burrow originally got hurt because Browning's proven that he's a serviceable backup. But if that is their mindset, I think to myself, you have to win this game because if you don't, I'm not saying you don't make the playoffs, but that battle is a lot tougher. That hill is a lot tougher to climb. I don't know, man. I don't understand this one. I'm hoping that that's not the mindset they had because if Denzel is at 80, 90%, I know he's been hurt a lot, but you need him on the field. Like he is, we've seen it. Denzel Ward, this defense without Denzel Ward, now again, this defense at home is also 10 times better for whatever odd reason. But without Denzel Ward on the field, it's a completely different defense. Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett are the 2 most valuable players out on the entire defensive side of the ball. And without Denzel, this defense looks very average. And so if if Denzel is 70, 80%, I'm playing him. That's just me, I guess. I know it's a risk, but you have to win this game. Because if you don't win this game, your chances of making the playoffs are near 50%. As opposed to winning, you're near 80.
I agree with everything you just said, but I think that that's also the truth. Maybe he's not 70%. I mean, he practiced all week, but he was a limited participant. He was never a full participant. So maybe he's not. Maybe he's just not there. Maybe this training staff is finally getting a handle on how to handle shoulders. We've watched them mismanage shoulders all year, for years, actually. We can go back. But like maybe they finally have a handle on it, and he's maybe a greater risk for re-injury if you put him out there this week. And you do need him for the long haul. It's probably a mitigation of risk. You look at Jacksonville's wide receiver room. Calvin Ridley's he's got skill, you know what I mean? Kirk was kind of the engine for that room, though. And maybe they just feel they can get by a week. They might be able to get by 2 weeks. You got Chicago on the other side of this. You can't get by a third week. You can't go to Houston without Denzel. No. That's a recipe for disaster. So, yeah, I'm bummed. I thought he was going to go. I thought when they had him talk to the media that they just had that feeling that he was going to go. But for whatever reason, I pray that because we know we won't hear anything today. I just hope there wasn't a setback. I just hope that he's just not quite ready. And that's the best case scenario now that he's not going.
Yeah.
Jeff doesn't like Greg Newsome. It's all right. I don't think a lot of fans are happy with Newsome this year when he's played outside.
Greg's been getting picked on, man. Like the Denver game still sticks in my head. And so I'm hoping that I think the biggest problem against LA was that they could not get Stafford to hold the ball at all to give the defensive line any chance to rush him, pressure him. So to me, I'm just looking for, you got to make Trevor Lawrence hold the ball longer than Matt Stafford did, because the pass rush had no chance against Matt Stafford, which is bizarre. I've been watching Matt Stafford get sacked all year long, and then the Browns play LA, and for whatever reason they can't. So that's my biggest worry is can they stop Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones and Evan Ingram for long enough to make Trevor uncomfortable? Because I think if they can, that the Browns should be able to win this game. But you can't get into this situation again where, for whatever reason, the quarterback's just got the ball out in under 2.5 seconds and you can't rush him.
Yep.
Yeah, it's more so to me. It's just after you practice all week, and I know he was limited, it just makes you think that he was going to play. So I don't know. That one definitely is. It's a bummer. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The Jacksonville inactives for today are Nathan Rurik, who they called up from the practice squad. He is designated as their emergency third quarterback. Defensive tackle Foley, Fadakowski, I'm pronouncing that wrong, whatever. Cornerback Tyson Campbell, cornerback Trey Herndon, tight end Bretton Strange, left tackle Walker Little, and outside linebacker Yasser Abdullah.
They're banged
those
up.
names surprise you?
Yeah.
No, they don't surprise me, because a lot of those had already been ruled out going into this for the most part. But they're banged up, and that's what I come to when I talk about the word injuries. It's like their leading receivers out. They're on their third string left tackle, who's either – I don't know if they've announced it yet. They're either going to move Ezra Cleveland from left guard to left tackle, or the person that played on Monday night, which was Blake Hance at left tackle. You're not on your backup left tackle. You're on a third left tackle, which is a guard playing out of position, because in the end, that's what Blake Hance was to begin with. Yeah. He just started having to get reps at tackle in Cleveland, which has kind of followed him since he left Cleveland last year, where he can play on both kind of situations there. And the rest of their offensive line hasn't been very good either. The healthy parts have not been great either. And you have a hobbled Trevor Lawrence back there. I don't care if Denzel Ward's in this game. You have enough to get the job done. Like, yeah, do I want Ward out there? Absolutely. But they have shown you right there, they are down. Christian Kirk, to me, is still their best wide receiver. He's, and you can make the argument with him and Evan Ingram, but he's out. It's like Calvin Ridley, when Kirk hasn't been out there, teams have been able to key off Calvin Ridley and kind of limit him. And I think the Browns can do that. And I think the Browns have finally been able to cover corners or tight ends. So nothing really surprises me on that end. It just proves to me, in my mind, that this defense has no excuse to not get it done today.
Yeah, I think the Christian Kirk injury for them is absolutely huge. I mean, Calvin Ridley is the big name, but Christian Kirk has been the guy. Evan Ingram has had a really good year. He has been rejuvenated since coming to Jacksonville. I'll say this. I think that's the biggest matchup that worries me, believe it or not, is Evan Ingram, because he's just a mismatch. I mean, he's not a physical specimen, but the guy is basically a receiver playing tight end. I mean, he is very athletic, causes a lot of problems. And one thing that the Browns linebackers struggle with, they're not great. Now, JOK is probably the best one in coverage, but that's one thing that they're not very sound at is in coverage. They're really good at coming up in the run, but in coverage, they're not. That's why tight ends have burnt the Browns for years right there. It's because and that's the one thing that worries me today. I'm really curious to see with Trevor Lawrence, how nimble is he going to be? Is he going to be able to move a little bit, or is he going to – that's the thing I'm curious about, because when he had that knee injury, dude had a huge brace on, still running for 50 yards somehow. So I'm curious on how he is going to look today on a bum ankle. But find out shortly.
It changes everything around the red zone, because he's had 4 rushing touchdowns over the last 3 games. Like that's part of what they do in the red zone. I don't think that's going to be something they lean on today. For me, man, this game just comes down to our defensive line. Like it's time, man. Like and not just Miles. Like Miles is going to do whatever Miles can do. We don't know how healthy he truly is. The rest of these people got to pick up slack, man. They need to get pressure, because when this team is dominant, it's because of that defensive line. When this defense is really cooking, it's because they're hunting up front and getting after it. You got a wounded quarterback who's a good athlete. Lawrence is a good athlete for sure. But we all saw that ankle. That is like I was when he was just all of a sudden at practice, I was super surprised. I thought the night of the injury for sure, that's 2-3 weeks minimum, right? If he's going to be out there though, and they're going to start him, they're going to try to run a quick game. But at the end of the day, man, if this defensive line dominates and can get pressure on him, that could change everything.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. Jeff brings up here, another Jeff, at least Amari is back. That is huge. You guys surprised that Amari Cooper cleared concussion protocol that quickly?
Yes. Yeah, it's a very small percentage of people who clear inside of 1 week.
Hey,
but that's the thing about concussions. There's degrees. You can't see inside someone's head. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Well,
it's just the unknown factor.
Hey, TJ Watt cleared concussion protocol in 2 minutes and then played the rest of the game and then got a concussion. So I don't want to hear it.
Hey, man, that tinted visor really made the difference.
As soon as he took it off, boom, concussed.
But the hit on Amari wasn't like helmet to helmet. If memory serves, it didn't look nearly as bad. Like you could see Amari got his bell rung, but I don't think the hit looked as bad, looked as vicious as like something that you look at and you're like, oh yeah, he's concussed. So I don't know if Amari's been concussed previously in his career, but
2018 and 2017.
Okay, so it's been a while, right? Which is a better sign, hopefully. And obviously he cleared. Man, the way Flacco brought Elijah Moore alive, I really think that this offense can be potent. Joe was on his way to be the Browns' first 300-yard passer this year, and I understand Deshaun got robbed against Tennessee. That call where they called Amari out of bounds, he would have been a 300-yard passer. But that's neither here nor there. Joe was on pace to be the Browns' first 300-yard passer. I think he could be the Browns' first 300-yard passer this year today. You've got the weapons. I think he showed tremendous. Like Elijah Moore was going to. I'm excited. I'm excited about what Joe, Amari, Elijah, David Njoku are going to be. I think this offense can get rolling. This is Stefanski's wheelhouse. I love that about it. And honestly, I wonder. Like, okay. So in the AFC South, all of a sudden, obviously Jacksonville's 8-4, but Indianapolis is 7-5, and Houston is 7-5, right? So maybe that they're sending Trevor Lawrence out there today, in a less than ideal situation, because they're saying to themselves, all of a sudden we got this division that looked like it was going to be Jacksonville and a runaway is actually a lot tighter than most people thought it was going to be down the stretch.
Yeah, I think Something also, this is going to piss some people off. While Jacksonville has named Trevor Lawrence as the starter, the Browns are not planning to make an announcement before the game.
Good. Hell yeah.
I read they could. I read they could play both, but
Okay.
Which I think they will. I think they'll have. Listen, I think they'll have a package of plays for DTR. Alex Van Pelt basically said that they would have a package for him. Doesn't surprise me. Get near the red zone, put him in to run. Sure.
Hey,
Oh, Zach from the Muni.
Hey, what up?
Go Browns!
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
You guys,
the services was very spotty. He was bouncing around, and I was like, I've tried to do it in the meeting a lot too. You can't hear shit. You can't
Not surprised by that at all.
I'll tell you, these two guys down here, Casey and Jacob, went hero mode because I was sick with the flu for the Barking Browns on Tuesday. So I didn't get to talk a whole lot about the game, but I really think so. For Joe Flacco, just talking about the offense today, for Joe Flacco to do what he did like you said, Tyler, and come off the couch and look that good and that comfortable already in the offense, I think that's just the beginning of what the offense can be. I don't think this is going to be one of those situations where Flacco regresses. I think I'm assuming he's going to start. I think he is a perfect piece to what Stefanski wants to do offensively. And when you've got your weapons out there, I think that the ceiling of this offense is a lot higher than people might think. I think Joe Flacco can still cook. I saw the velocity, and just the tight windows that he was fitting those passes into. And if you got Amari back out there, you've got some real potency there. It would not surprise me at all if Joe Flacco throws 303 touchdowns. I know that sounds crazy. I know it's weird. 38-year-old Joe Flacco. It wouldn't surprise me. And I think he can. I think he can. And I think the Browns offense can be a tool of overcoming with their fourth quarterback this year. I very much do. Is that crazy?
No.
No. If you look at today, I mean, earlier in the week, we thought it was going to be rainy and a little cold. Well, it's going to be 50, but those winds are going to be gusting up in the 20s. That arm comes in handy when you can that win. And he's played in bad weather. He played in Baltimore for the vast majority of his career. So he's used to these kind of element games. I think that comes into play. We've talked about it. The thing that gets me excited about Flacco is Stefanski's used to this is his avatar. This is the kind of guy he's used to dialing up for. And the layups were layups last week. The things that were there, one read, go, bang, they're there. And good delivery too, because these receivers have had such issue dropping the ball, putting it to them right at the window, right in the spot where they don't have to go all over their body to bring it in. It's right there in their lap. You know what I mean? So I just keep it on schedule. And he's a guy who can do that. Now, I also think that it doesn't change the game script. You still want to be playing like you don't want this guy to have to throw down from 2 touchdowns. He'll take some chances, and you you just got to keep it in the flow of the game. Keep the game script neutral. Worry about the sticks. Try to end in kicks. It's going to be it's a windy game, man. If he throws for 303 touchdowns, I think they win by double digits.
Let's go.
Love it. No, I absolutely love it. Jeff also asks here, is Godwin available? Mark Goodwin.
Yes.
You mean Goodwin, but
yes, he is.
Marquise Goodwin is available and he will play.
I said it earlier this week. Like, it would not shock me if they take 3 or 4 deep shots to Goodwin. Like, it will not.
They should
He's
take
the exact
3 or 4
type of
shots
receiver that Flacco can hit on deep balls. That's perfect.
It's one of those, like, you come out and you run the ball a couple of times or whatever. You get yourself a fresh set of downs, and then you line up in the I formation, run play action, and a go route on the outside, and you either throw it deep to Marquise Goodwin or he pulls coverage deep, and you hit Amari or Elijah Moore underneath, and they're able to create in the open field. So, like, I think it's a big deal because he's got both. He's got both now. Like, Amari is playing today. Like, we did not know what that was going to look like. And now it's like, yeah, he's going to play. And having cleared concussion protocol, and Goodwin's finally out of concussion protocol, and you can look at it there. You've got the full assortment of weapons around Joe Flacco. I know you got James Hudson at right tackle, and that's a little worrisome, but like, you got the full weapons around him, and he gets the ball out of his hands quickly. He's not going to hold on to it like PJ or Watson, and even DTR does a little bit, but it's going to be fun. I think there's some opportunity for some fireworks today, and they're at home, man, and I just really think they get it done.
Marquise Goodwin to score a touchdown today is plus 1,500.
Let's go.
Might throw a little bit on that.
You might have to throw a little bit of cheddar on that one.
You know?
Dude,
Well, Jeff, I think we should make a motion. If Marquise Goodwin pulls in 2 bombs today, let's change his name to Godwin. I'm all for it, man. Like,
Yeah,
Elijah Moore is plus 420.
That feels.
I feel like he gets
over
it.
for touchdown passes is 0.5 for Flacco.
Yeah,
Is it
that's
really?
the weirdest. Yeah, it is. It
Yeah,
was
That one is
hey, that's
extremely
free
odd to
cheddar.
me.
I'm betting.
Yeah. Hammer.
Dude, that one is definitely odd to me. Anyway,
The
so we got
line
some
is-
good questions. Gage asks, does Joe Flacco start today? Yes. They won't announce it. It's hilarious. And then also asks, do you guys think the Browns have a shot to make it into the playoffs this year? Yes, you have to win today. I'll say it right there. I'll even take this a step further. I think if they don't win today, they will not make it. I think they win today, they make the playoffs. Because then you set yourself up for a must-win AFC game in Houston. And I'm telling you, that Texans team is good. I know they're battling injury too, but they got their quarterback. If CJ Stroud's healthy in that game,
Well, it's not just that. It's this defense is not the same on the road. And there's no way to look at it any other way. That is not the same unit. And that game, that's the game that scares me. Yeah, I view today as a must win. I mean,
They all are.
you've lost 2 in a row, which you haven't done all year, by the way. They've not lost 2 straight. You can't make it 3, and you can't be to an AFC opponent, because then when it comes down to it, you might still have a record good enough, but you might lose a tiebreaker. You know what I mean? Like, this is a massively important game, and one you should have. Obviously, I mean, you got a wounded quarterback. You're back at home where you've been lights out on defense. So if that defense shows up the way that we know they can, this is a must win for me.
Yeah, you know what, Tyler, I think I'm on the same page as you. I've told a couple people that I think if the Browns win this game, they make the playoffs. This is the most pivotal game of the season to me, because yes, you look at the schedule and you say, okay, the Bears, Jets, and hopefully Bengals look like winnable games. There's so much that happens in the NFL week to week. There's so many injuries and so many. This season's been a roller coaster. I feel like you need to seize the day today. Jacksonville is clearly banged up. You're back at home. It's an AFC opponent. You lost to Denver, who you very much needed to beat in this wild card city. You can make up for that by beating Jacksonville today and put yourself in the driver's seat. I know I saw the tweet earlier today that the odds for the Browns to make the playoffs are very different with a win and a loss today. And I just think beating this type of team, beating this type of good team for the morale, for momentum. And like I said, you're coming off 2 losses. You need to stop the bleeding there. You can't have a 3-game losing streak. Today is the day you seize the season and you make that playoff push.
I got a parlay for you.
Okay.
Let's
All right.
go.
Okay.
I just put this thing together, and with boosted odds, it's plus 2385, 855.
Okay.
So it's a plus 23,000 odds. So
Here we go.
I got Joe Flacco over half a touchdown. So I got the Joe Flacco throwing a touchdown.
Fine.
I got Amari Cooper 25 plus receiving yards, David Njoku 25 plus receiving yards, Elijah Moore 25 plus receiving yards, Calvin Ridley 4 plus receptions. Joe Flacco's over-under on yards is 204.5. Hammer the over on that. And I've got Elijah Moore and Harrison Bryant anytime touchdown scorers.
Oh, wow. Back-to-back Harrison Bryant touchdown weeks.
Be 3 straight.
Three
Elijah
straight.
Moore and Harrison Bryant. Damn.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I put $1 on that. It pays out $2.39 if it hits.
Dude, that's kind of that's actually
spicy. I like it.
It's not that bad. The Harrison Bryant touchdown is definitely the hardest one, but he got one last week, and Joe Flacco really liked Harrison Bryant in the red zone. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know what really worked? The only one that on the touchdown doesn't even worry me. Calvin Ridley has burned me multiple times this year, including putting up a goose egg.
Yeah.
Like, That's the
think about
only one I
Christian.
have an issue with. Other than that, I love everything. Everything else is chef's kiss.
It's just like, I'm telling you, if this one hits, everybody's having a better Christmas in my family. Like,
Holy
shit.
cow.
Dude, I love it though. So what is one prop before we give our game predictions? What is one prop you guys all like today? One
Yes.
prop that you're like, you know what? I really like this, and I'm gonna go with this.
Hammer Flacco's over. He's throwing
Yeah.
at least a touchdown. Like that one is just like if you don't want to make a parlay, you just want to make one single prop bet to win money. Hammer his over to throw at least a touchdown.
Yeah, that was disrespectful.
Yeah.
0.5. Like to me, that's free money.
You know what his 2 touchdowns is? Plus 255.
Yeah.
For 3 touchdowns, it's plus 1100.
That one is hard. 3 is hard for me, but my God, if you're like, man, I got an extra $1 here, I don't care what to do. I don't think it's a bad idea to take that. I don't think it's
Tempted to do everything you said except Calvin Ridley. I have no trust in Calvin Ridley whatsoever.
I get it.
He has scarred me for life, that man.
Yeah.
You know what? Amari Cooper's over under receiving is 44.5 yards. And I just feel like
Criminal.
I feel like this could easily be an 100-yard day for Amari because even if the Browns do get down, they're going to throw it with Joe Flacco. He's going to air it out, and they're going to move the ball down the field. I firmly believe that. So to me, I'm taking Jacobs on the Joe Flacco over. I'm on Amari Cooper's over.
Flacco loves to throw the ball where it's supposed to be, when it's supposed to be, and Amari's always where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be there. So
Love that.
I think you keep Amari Cooper in that game last week, and I think they at least score more points. I don't know if they win, but they at least score more points.
Harrison Bryant's receiving prop today is 3.5 yards.
Oh my God.
Criminal.
That is hammer the shit out of
3.5.
that.
We
Dude,
found
so
Vegas's
listen to
blind
this one.
spot.
So if you're looking for anyone who's looking for a sneaky Jacksonville one, Parker Washington is plus 600 for an anytime touchdown,
I dropped him in Dynasty.
which is pretty sneaky considering hit for 25 yards. He's minus 114, and then obviously it skyrockets from there. But he has been someone when not Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk got hurt, they really looked his way. So just something to keep in mind there. He could be sneaky.
Like,
For 2 receptions, it's minus 290. For 3 receptions, it's plus 100 for him. So just something to keep in mind there.
That feels
Yeah.
messed up, yeah.
But anyway, let's have a day, gentlemen. That being said, Browns and Jaguars in Cleveland. I see this last question, but I'm not sharing that.
I've
because
answered that question enough.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we're not doing it. All right. Anyway, Browns and Jaguars in Cleveland. It's going to be a windy day. Might be a rainy day. Trevor Lawrence is hobbled, we think. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's
he was walking a little gingerly.
all right. Trevor Lawrence is banged up. No Christian Kirk. They're banged up on the offensive line. They're banged up on the defensive side of the ball. The Browns are without Denzel Ward, however. How do you guys see this game shaking out?
Sure.
There you
Okay. I thought somebody else was going to go, but whatever. I talked to Casey about this on Friday on our show over on the PSF app, which, by the way, you can join us at 1:00 for a watch party for the entire game over on the PSF app. So go check that out if you're interested in that sort of thing. You do so many predictions leading up to this. You do multiple pods or you write multiple articles. You do this, you do that. And you just kind of throw it all out there, and it's like, what I don't even know what I said anymore. I think there's some ugliness to this game at times, and I think there's a lot of kicks in this game. I think I'm going to look at it and say I'll take the Browns 22-12.
22-12.
Just like that's where I'm at now, which
That
is
is
actually
the most interesting score prediction I've heard in a while.
it's just going to be a weird game. I think they're going to win, and I think they're going to take control of it in the trenches, but I think it's 22-12.
Okay.
I'm going a little more conventional. This isn't going to be a scoregami. I honestly think the defense does the damn thing. I think they show up, put a lid on it. I think they might even give up a tutter early, but just kind of throttle down. I think this is a 24-7 win. I think that Jacksonville will miss multiple field goals today. And that's going to be my big prediction.
Okay.
I want to predict the game being farther apart, but honestly, the Denzel Ward injury I think is that significant where I'm going to give Jacksonville a little bit more. I'm going 24-20 Browns. I still think they get it done at home, but it's not. It's going to be close. All these Browns games are close. They all are. I'm expecting to sweat and be nervous and hate and love every second of that, and I'm expecting a Browns victory. And I just if the Browns do win, you're in the driver's seat for the playoffs. That is what you're playing for at home with your crowd. Rooting you on. I think they can do it today.
Same. It's a clean sweep. I'm on the Browns today as well. I do think Jacksonville's a good team for a reason. I know they're banged up. But going to Cleveland has been a different beast this year. For whatever reason, the Browns defense is the greatest defense of all time. Also, Dennis, we're not ignoring you, man. We're wrapping things up, so we aren't ignoring you. Apologies for that, and we'll get to your questions next week. So apologies for that. Anyway, okay. Anyways, I do think it's going to be a close game today. Like I said, Jacksonville's a good team, but whenever teams go to Cleveland, it's very satisfying that now when teams go to Cleveland, it feels like we have the lake on lockdown. So that's what I feel today. I don't think it's going to be super high scoring. I think the Browns end up putting a decent amount of points up because I think Flacco is going to look even better this week. I got Browns 27 and I got Jacksonville 24. It's going to be a close game. I think Jacksonville think they're pretty good. I think Lawrence is going to look better than we think. So
I wonder 22-12 is scoregami or not. So.
It might be. I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining us for this Network 216 pregame show. As a reminder, drop a like on the video and subscribe if you're brand new to Network 216. On the push for 3,000 subscribers here. Can't do that without everyone's help. Hope you guys all enjoy the game. As always, go Browns, baby.
Go Browns.
Don't be a bitch. Get it done.